The basement.
The basement.
No!
The basement.
Oh, the basement.
I know that.
The basement.
Oh boy.
No!
Oh boy.
Am I dead?
The basement.
But nobody ever says that.
The basement.
The basement.
Wait.
The basement.
Hey everyone, I'm Stan,
I'm Guy.
and we're The Basement, and we're doing another Wrestling Roundtable. This is part 2 of our Roundtable Extra, because so much cool stuff has happened since our last Roundtable. We decided we wanted to do an extra. We're going to cover a lot of things. We're not going to talk about SummerSlam in these videos, just because we need that material for next week when we sit down again. Not that we couldn't have enough material to have one of these every single week, but right now we're trying to do one a month. So this is just an extra. We're going to kind of fill in the blanks. We're going to talk about SmackDown, and then we're going to just talk about a few other things kind of on our minds, and we will move on from there. You watched SmackDown,
I did.
and I watched SmackDown. So right off the bat, we'll just go into to the show. It opened up with
Backstage.
you had Shane O'Mac and Daniel Bryan, who appeared entirely too much on the show, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They were constantly on screen, but whatever. They, did their little talk, and they talked about how, Ambrose is there, and how they needed an opponent for him, so they decided to do a 6-pack challenge. Came out and they announced 5 of the participants, which was Cena, Bray Wyatt, Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin, and AJ Styles. And then they were going to do a battle royal for the 6th spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I don't like Baron Corbin in there, just because he hasn't been developed yet.
Yeah, he was an odd throw-in.
But I think the other 4 definitely were deserving of it. So then you just moved right into the battle royal. So you have your battle royal. You have your usual. Well, actually, you had Kane, who was kind of a machine.
Mm-hmm.
Threw out a shitload of people.
That's what he does.
Yep.
Royal Rumbles, whatever.
And so you get down to the final 4. Because the rest of it, whatever. You get your tag teams thrown out, what you expect. And we got down to the final 4. The final 4 was Kane, Zack Ryder, Kalisto, and Apollo Crews, right?
Yep.
And it was kind of just fan service a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't done poorly, because it was like everyone attacked Kane, because that's what you have to do. And everybody got to pull off their moves, and it was done. It was very well paced. It flowed together. Sorry, you were speaking and I kind of interrupted it.
Oh, I was gonna say I thought Zack Ryder was gonna win that.
I ultimately thought Zack Ryder was, and one of the things we talked about it just a few moments ago off camera, just about Zack Ryder's botch patch-up was outstanding.
Yeah,
He went to the top rope, was going to go for the elbow, I'm assuming,
Yep.
and slipped off the rope, and just, there wasn't even a second thought. He hit the ground and just, bam, he was on the guy, punching him, and the as much as I don't necessarily like this announce team, the announce team covered it well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, those the turnbuckles, they get slippery with all these sweaty guys in the ring, and it was well done. So basically, you got all the craziness going around. Kane throws Kalisto out, and it's like, oh god, are we gonna actually push Kane? This was the thoughts that was going through my head. So I'm like, oh, we're gonna have a Kane push, and then Zack Ryder went for the Rough Rider on Kane, and then Zack Ryder gets thrown out. I'm like, oh, good God. And then Apollo Crews eliminated Kane, but I felt it was kind of weak. It made his character kind of weak.
Yeah, because he just pulled the rope.
Did the rope tug down, so Kane tumbled out of the ring. And I'm not saying that that's bad, but if somebody like Seth Rollins does it. It kind of fits his character of like he's
Yeah.
a thinker in the ring. Apollo Crews, all they do is they just talk about his athleticism.
Yeah,
like he's so athletic. He's so great, and then you have him do something like that. Like, I mean, the whole backflip out of the choke slam was kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, I could see him doing something like a Hurricane Rana over the top rope.
Right. Well, just something else,
Yeah.
something different. But the fact that Cruz won it was incredibly cool. It shows that they put some stock into these young guys. So he was the 6th member of the Six Pack Challenge.
One thing he did, I can't remember if it was in that match or the upcoming match that we'll talk about, was when he did the German suplexes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice.
I think that was in the next one.
Yeah.
Somewhere during that match was when they ran a Shelton Benjamin promo.
I actually missed that because I thought it was commercial, and I started fast forwarding. I record that as well. If you watched our last video, I record Raw and watch it at a later time.
I usually do. I didn't this week. Missed Raw.
I'm usually working, so
I'm usually working too, and the reason I didn't record it is I'm on vacation, so I was like, oh, I'll watch it. Yep, didn't record it. Forgot all about it. But, kind of mixed opinions on Shelton Benjamin coming back. He's talented. He's Brock Lesnar's roommate. He is definitely a solid amateur wrestler.
yeah.
The one kind of question I have is he is in his 40s, his early 40s. Puts him a little bit older. Not that you don't need that star power, but I'm curious to see where he falls into the whole pecking order.
I don't think he's a big enough name to bring back. I mean, if you're looking to fill roster spots, there are better people.
I think he's talented enough that if they use him correctly, it's not a bad choice.
Now, is he going to come back as the All-American type Olympian again, or?
Well, that's the one thing I could kind of see is maybe he's going to come back and maybe he will align with
American
Alpha, and that'll kind of become almost a stable, which would be interesting.
Yeah, which is, here's a stupid thing. At the beginning of SmackDown, they had all the superstars in the ring. American Alpha was there. However, during SmackDown, they rolled that video introducing them next week. So
Well, it was they were there. They weren't performing. I
Yeah.
think is ultimately what it was.
I think they should have kept them off camera.
I agree. They should have probably been backstage. I didn't even catch that, to be honest. I mean, I saw them, but I didn't put 2 plus 2 together.
Also, did Big Show get drafted to SmackDown?
Yes? Question mark?
He wasn't on either of those shows.
Yeah, he's an older guy, whatever. And I can understand them not wanting, maybe for him, it could be one of those things where you don't want to put him into the Battle Royal because you're dealing with a big man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There was some people who were, notably absent, but okay, whatever. Throughout the night, there was a lot of. The other thing is everybody cut a promo for the 6-pack challenge.
Oh yeah.
Because immediately afterwards,
Yeah.
Apollo Crews did his, which I thought was very Apollo Crews of just like, I'm gonna celebrate yet. It was all right, but like most of them were just like, meh, kind of a waste of camera time to me.
I didn't like it.
I don't think it was necessary.
It made it's SmackDown Live, and those things made it seem like it was pre-recorded.
Yeah, it slowed it down. And
Yeah.
whatever. So then we move forward to the match that I actually left the room during. Natalya versus Becky Lynch.
I fast forwarded through it like I usually do.
I actually watched part of this match, and it was atrocious. Me and Guy, neither one of us have any wrestling experience, and I don't mean this to knock them as performers, but it was like me and Guy were wrestling. It was just, everything looked very, very much just like choreographed, and there was like a ton of botches, and they weren't good recoveries. It was painful. After about 3 to 5 minutes. Maybe it got better. But after the very beginning of the match, I left the room. I honestly left the room. I came back much later basically, I missed the whole... I didn't see Becky Lynch winning. I know she won, but I didn't see that. I didn't see Naomi.
That's where I stopped fast forwarding and started watching, which was a mistake.
Yeah, and basically you had a bunch of people come out.
You had Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, which is just mind-boggling that they didn't put her with Enzo and Cass because she's doing the same fucking gimmick
Yeah.
on a different show. And then you had the crowning moment of Eva Marie coming out, which instantly drew boos from the crowd. She didn't even do anything. She just unbuttoned her robe and like did her little twirl thing and then blew a kiss. And it was stupid. And
I'm not sad I missed this.
I don't ever want to watch women's wrestling on SmackDown. Ever.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you have it. That's our opinion right now. Change it, WWE. Watch this video and change what it is. We don't want to watch it. So then you had, what, Miz TV was next?
Yep.
Miz and Randy Orton.
Yeah. And Maurice is another stupid... whatever. I don't know.
So, well, you know what? I think she makes a good valet for the Miz.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
So, eventually, you get out of the Miz TV, you get the Miz versus Randy Orton.
Miz got buried as the Intercontinental Champion. Miz straight up got buried.
Yes, but I understand why. And
Yeah, you're setting up a
you have to
match.
set up this huge match of Randy Orton versus Brock, and I get that. And I like the Miz and whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, it was just a burying, and it was an opportunity for them to show that RKO is a machine, and
it wasn't a burying job in the sense that he got RKO'd out of nowhere, because that can happen. I mean, Miz
Right.
dominated the whole match until that RKO from out of nowhere. But it was the fact that Randy Orton toyed with him afterwards and hit another RKO
yeah.
and then pinned him.
One thing though, I will say about this whole spiel that went on is they kind of let Randy Orton play face a little bit,
Yeah.
which was interesting, and I'm curious to see how it plays out. Not that Randy Orton hasn't been a face in the past, but he's always been that kind of like borderline face. But yeah, and you know what? Props to the Miz for making that feud better by, hey, Randy Orton beat the Intercontinental Champion, trying to establish something there. I give him props for taking that. There you have your American Alpha promo.
Yep.
So the sign Heath Slater bit, basically, Heath Slater did not get drafted, for those of you who don't know. And ultimately, I thought a big part of it was he is injured. Well, he's back now, but he was injured, and they didn't really draft anybody who was injured, which is fine. But that being said, so he came back and he was doing this whole sign Heath Slater chant, which actually the fans kind of got into.
Yeah. I don't really like him. I thought I was going to like him after that, but I don't.
I don't necessarily like him, but you know what, props for them working a new angle with him.
He botched his whole spiel too.
Well, yeah, he
When-
fucked it up about
Oh, yeah.
15 different times.
When Shane McMahon was like, "Send in your resume," and then he's like, "You want me to sign a resume? Sign a resume?" And I was like, "Oh man, this is stupid."
Yeah, it is what it is. okay, I think that Slater, whatever, he's acceptable, but the fact that then you have Rhino show up and gore him, not that I have anything against Rhino, because Rhino is also, he's another guy, he's a good guy, he's a big dude. He's kind of fun to watch, just kind of brute strength, because he understands that that's his gimmick and that's who he is. But it was just, that was it. It was like Shane was like, "Oh, I'm looking at the number one free agent," and then Rhino gores Slater when he turns around, and then that's it.
I'm pretty excited that Rhino is back, because I thought he was gone. Because he was running for some political thing in Michigan.
Yeah, I was under the impression that them re-signing Rhino was going to be at the NXT level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not opposed to them having him around. It's fine.
I think it's good that he's back on the main roster. I mean, he was huge in ECW. He was big on the old roster, and then he went to NXT and got big there. So, I mean...
Yeah. And then your fourth match of the night, which is all we got.
Yeah, that 2 hours is
2 hours is rough.
Yeah.
But was the number one contender match. John Cena, Bray Wyatt, Dolph Ziggler, Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, Apollo Crews. Cena and AJ Styles, pretty big names.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler, Bray Wyatt, kind of been around. They're established, reasonably big names, and Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews, two kind of guys that are up-and-comers. So, a very interesting blend. I'm going to sneeze. Oh, Lordy.
Can we edit that out?
No. You ain't no edit. Mark, you're not going to edit that out. I know you're not. So, anyway, the match itself was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought that it was well-paced. It was one of those six-man, sometimes those six-man matches just turn into a mess in the ring. But it was timed well. It felt smooth to me. It wasn't the best six-man match I've ever seen, but it was definitely not bad.
I really liked when I think Bray Wyatt was trying to work with AJ Styles, and he was telling him to go off the rope or whatever,
Yeah,
and he did.
clotheslines him.
Boom. That was fantastic. They can build Bray Wyatt so big.
You'll never guess who Guy's favorite wrestler is. That was the whole time. I'm just like, oh, Guy's got major league erection going on right now. I mean, it was
Baron Corbin.
There was a lot of stuff that actually went on in that match that I thought was incredibly well done.
Yeah.
The whole Wyatt pulling the ref out.
Yep.
And then you have like these several different spots where there could have been pinfalls, and there weren't because the ref is outside of the ring. And
John Cena giving at least everyone an AA.
Yeah. Did he get everybody?
I think he did. He might not have gotten Apollo Crews.
He got Apollo Crews. I don't know if he got everybody, but it is what it is. It was, yeah, okay, I get it. Cena's your big guy. And you know what? It was when they had him start doing those AAs, I'm like, oh, so they're going to have Cena do it. Whatever, I can get over it. I don't necessarily want to see Cena in another match, but I understand. Like they say, the face that runs the place. I get it. He's the big name.
That was another part where John Cena pinned AJ Styles after the AA. I was like, oh, John Cena's going to win. We're going to get John Cena again. And then he kicked out of it, and I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God.
I wasn't... The thing is that the whole match, with the exception of Baron Corbin, who I call him Mr. Personality, because he's just like, whatever. It's... The rest of them I had no problem with. Like, any of those other guys, like, I understand. Cena's a draw, I get that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Any of the other guys I think were deserving, and I ultimately I understand if you want to try to build Baron Corbin up, so be it. I think he needs a mouthpiece, but whatever. So it goes on and on and on, whatever. Cena hits Corbin with an AA, and then AJ Styles comes in and does the flying forearm, the phenomenal forearm, and Ziggler shows back up in the ring and super kicks him and pins him.
Yep.
which I love Dolph Ziggler. I've always been a huge Dolph Ziggler fan. I think he sells like nobody, and he's on that Enzo Amore level of selling, and I'm stoked to see that match, which we're not going to talk about because that's next week. But that being said, so our WWE Championship match at SummerSlam will be Dolph Ziggler and Dean Ambrose, two guys that I think can work a good program. And then once again, because we didn't have enough of them, you have Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan show up. And God, the thing is I loved Daniel Bryan. I loved him to no end. But he's too prevalent, and it's fine. I guess if it's a one and done thing, just as an introduction to it, okay, that's fine. But if next week we have this whole, you're only dealing with 2 hours, and when 25 minutes of the screen time is commercials and 25 minutes of it are Shane McMahon and Bryan on camera, that leaves me 1 hour and 10 minutes of wrestling, and that's why you only get 4 matches. And that's painful to me. But yeah, so that was SmackDown. So some of the things that we got out of that.
Also, recycling pay-per-views. That SmackDown pay-per-views are going to be SmackDown pay-per-views, and the first one is going to be Backlash, which is a WWE pay-per-view of old. So you're recycling pay-per-views and making them SmackDown. I don't know. I thought that was odd.
I think that it might, to me it's a little bit lazy, but on the flip side of that, you got to come up with something quick. I get it. It's already been trademarked and whatever. I understand.
Halloween Havoc, bring it back. There you go.
I would love to see Halloween Havoc or any of that. It is what it is, though. Ultimately, as long as pay-per-views are entertaining, so be it. That's one takeaway I have from it is we're going to get brand-specific pay-per-views, which is interesting to me. The one concern I have for that is the fact that you still only have one set of tag titles.
Yep.
Is the Cruiserweight title, is that official on Raw?
I know the division is.
Okay, so
they actually ran the promo.
Okay, so we're assuming the Cruiserweight title is so you've got that on Raw, and now you're going to have a Universal Champ on Raw. The Tag Team Champs are there. The Women's Champ is on Raw.
Yep.
The United States Champion is on Raw. And SmackDown gets, the WWE title and the Intercontinental.
Yeah.
So I think that you need to look at that and maybe bring back a European Championship or a second set of tag titles or whatever it might be, just to make that a little more interesting.
Yeah, because why have tag teams on SmackDown if they're not going to fight for anything?
Yeah, they can't get a belt. And I love the Vaudevillains. They're on SmackDown. I mean, you've got some tag teams there.
You got the Mojo Brothers.
Mojo Rawley, Hype Brothers.
Hype Brothers, yeah.
So yeah, you have a lot of stuff going on SmackDown that is just it feels like the pay-per-views could be a little weak because that, and you know what?
Yeah.
On the flip side, it makes creative have to get creative and make some stories. But it would be nice to see some more titles. Some other things that kind of don't apply to just what we've seen. The return of jobbers. Guy, not such a fan, but here's my take on jobbers. Jobbers are fine. It was actually, it's a nice throwback. And it's nice to have these guys to job to people and let people kind of have a squash match on people and make people look strong, assuming several things. One, it can't be a regular occurrence.
Yep.
I don't want to see a jobber match every week, much less two. It has to be a here and there occurrence. Number two, I would really like to see say Tommy End. Most American wrestling fans, unless you're pretty hardcore, have no idea who Tommy End is. But he signed a contract with WWE. He's yet to premiere, at least to the best of my knowledge. He hasn't performed at a house show or anything. So it becomes an opportunity. To me, a job, you start doing the job, your guys doing jobs, and then you have somebody like a Tommy End that people don't necessarily know come in and win a match on Raw, and then like, hey, have Triple H come out, hey, why sign a contract with NXT and kind of introduce him into NXT that way, or whatever it might be, or maybe somebody with Tommy End's credentials, maybe you just introduce right to the main roster. I don't see that happening because NXT can use the talent, and you have a lot of guys in NXT that are kind of floating around just waiting for people to fill the gap so you get some established talent. In your Samoa Joes and Austin Aries and Nakamura's and that level of people. But it would be interesting to me to see that.
My view on jobbers, I like it once in a while. I like it if it's a main roster debut, like Nia Jax squashing her jobber match. But Braun Strowman, you don't need a little scrawny dude to make him look strong. He's big enough where he can take out a lower level roster guy. He can squash them and still be strong. And he's already kind of established. I mean, he was with the Wyatt family. So you don't need him to beat a jobber to become established. Like, look at me, I'm big and strong.
Yeah.
And squash this 160-pound man when I'm 320 pounds.
I'm not, and I don't argue with that. I question where they were going with that. Because it's one of those things of, like you said, does he really need it? He doesn't.
That'd be like Brock Lesnar doing it. Like, people know who he is. He's big and he's strong and he's in your face, and you don't need to feed someone to him.
I believe also, since our last video, I believe Final Deletion was out when we did our last video.
Yep.
We touched on that.
Yep.
But then they had the compound fight.
Yes. Yeah, which tried to be like the Final Deletion.
Well, here's just some thoughts on that. And this is something that I've thought about for a couple of weeks now, and I question. I don't think the compound fight was actually trying to be like the Final Deletion. Because you think of the number of extras and the amount of production that went into the compound fight, it's not like they went, we have 1 week, let's throw this thing together.
Yeah.
I think that was something they had planned.
Yeah, I think they planned it.
And it just happened, it was bad timing. But yeah, that happened. Opinions on that? It was alright. I didn't love it, I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
It just was what it was.
I think they could have done more with it, with the storyline. Also, Matt Hardy says he wants to fight Bray Wyatt.
Did you see that? I don't remember which Hardy it was. Said that they want their last match to be a Hell in the Cell match.
I think that was Jeff Hardy.
Okay.
I didn't read the article on that one.
I didn't either.
But I saw that he said how he wants his match or his career to end.
Yeah.
Which I think he's gonna die, because he's nuts, he's crazy, and he's not stable. I mean, he fell off of a cage in TNA recently and got knocked out.
Yeah. Because
he botched it. So if he does a Hell in the Cell match as his final match, he just might die.
It's very possible. Is there anything else that we need to hit on that doesn't involve next week's session for SummerSlam? This was kind of thrown together last minute. We apologize. I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
Undrafted superstars?
There isn't a whole lot. Lots of guys who are injured.
People that don't regularly appear, but I mean, what are they going to do with, like, Undertaker, who is only there for one pay-per-view and that's about it, kind of thing? Or The Rock, who makes sporadic appearances? Like, what are they going to be on?
I think that, ultimately, I think the Taker is not going to matter.
No, because he only does WrestleMania.
So it doesn't really, who cares? The Rock, I think they kind of probably holding The Rock in reserve a little bit, and they'll use him if they need him to boost SmackDown ratings.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that about sums up everything I had. It's been an interesting 2 weeks of wrestling. You had a draft that was all right. It was not quite what I expected, the draft itself, but I think the results were about what I expected. And then you had the new programs, which were really, really good. I'm very hopeful for the new era.
SmackDown was a little disappointing, but
It was, but it wasn't awful.
I think it was only disappointing because it was 2 hours. It just seemed very.
To me, the disappointment in it. Once I stepped back and realized what SmackDown was prior to the brand split, I wasn't quite as disappointed.
Yeah.
So
Plus JBL. I do not like JBL.
that's one thing I can say is the Raw announce team is getting praises sung. It's supposedly very, very good. So cool.
I still don't like Michael Cole either though. He's getting too old and he slips too much. I mean, at one point I'm pretty sure he referred to the WWE draft as the NFL draft, and then segued into the NFL draft, because I'm pretty sure I heard him say that Curtis Axel was the last pick in the NFL draft.
It's interesting. I didn't know that about Curtis Axel.
I could have misheard it, but then immediately he went into the NFL draft and said that the person who was selected last in the NFL draft nicknamed himself Mr. Irrelevant. Then Curtis Axel was nicknamed Mr. Irrelevant. But I don't know. I can see Michael Cole making that mistake because
He's Michael Cole.
he's old and he makes mistakes all the damn time if you listen to his commentary. So
It is what it is. I don't. Not that I don't have another replacement. I would be more critical if I could say, yeah, they should put this person on. But short of Jim Ross returning, which will never happen,
no.
that's about it.
Also, speaking of Jim Ross, I do catch New Japan Pro Wrestling periodically. Pretty good. Pretty good commentary there, too. I also watch Lucha Underground now, which is surprisingly really good. Matt Stryker and Vampiro as a commentary team is pretty good. And the wrestling, I mean, they do intergender matches of men versus women, which is weird, but good.
Yeah, I have my high hopes. We'll see. Maybe by the next video, which will go up the 15th of August, maybe we'll have differing opinions of this post-draft brand split. With that being said, if you like it, click the like. If you have comments, make the comments. I'll try to respond. I've been trying to respond when people ask me questions and stuff. So hit that up in the comments. And subscribe if you want to keep seeing videos. We have videos going up all the time on recently. There's a lot piled up. Our video editor is just coming back from vacation. That's you, Mark. And
Mardwang.
And I've got terabytes of video for you to edit, Mark. So good luck. But that being said, thanks again for watching, and we will catch you. Well, we'll catch you in about a week, but you guys won't catch it for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So yeah, have a good night. Bye.